add more, which we will tomorrow. Come back.
And later tonight.
And later tonight at 10 o'clock.
Broken Leg Stage.
Broken Leg Stage, which is...
Van Ness.
That's over there. Please go there. There will be other readers from our program who are equally as amazing. Last, and definitely not least, is a man with a ponytail and a beard that I've been trying to emulate. I gave up on the ponytail. His name is Shane Velez. He was born and raised in Southern California's Inland Empire, which sounds like a made-up fairy realm. He's a second-year creative nonfiction student who secretly loves fiction. He's in the Fresno State MFA program in fiction. He has yet to publish, but he's received several nice rejections from magazines that he does love. Besides reading and writing, he likes to read and write. Please welcome Shane Velez.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Thank you, Rusty. I'm going to be reading from an essay that I'm calling Brain Problems right now. I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to read and what parts that I need to not read. I think I decided that I'm not going to read the first part, so all you need to know is that in it I explain that I love to be underwater. I mostly love it because it's isolating and I don't have to deal with other people's shit. And so like the rest of the essay is me trying to like talk about that and trying to figure out what I can do with that. So, left brain. Jill Taylor, a neuroanatomist who suffered a stroke which cut off the supply of blood to the left side of her brain, wrote a book about her experience. In it, she explains that the left side of the brain organizes the collage of sensory information communicated to it by the right side of the brain. It takes the details of the present moment and places them into categories that can be compared to past events. The left brain claims responsibility for the ever-intruding inner monologue that I seek to rid myself of in the spa. Taylor refers to this monologue as brain chatter. It consists of worries for the future, worries over moments categorized as embarrassing in the past. Taylor encourages her readers to take efforts to silence this chatter, to understand that our left brain houses our ego, that it allows us to dwell on things through hypotheticals and reiteration. Taylor describes the malfunctioning of her left brain as euphoric and encourages her readers to step to the right side, to somehow turn off the left brain's function of analysis and conceptualization of the present moment. This is confusing to me. As soon as she describes the experience of stepping to the right side, she conceptualizes a previous event by utilizing the left side of her brain. Her entire book, like any book or essay, is a display of the capabilities of the left brain. Right brain. In ping pong, a rally is defined as the time the ball is in play. The ball is in play from the moment the ball leaves its initial stationary position on the palm of the server's hand until one of the two players fails to complete a proper return. When I play ping pong, I ignore the score and live for the rally. While the ball is in play, I have no time to think, no time to categorize and compare before I can react. My opponent utilizes, on occasion, a sort of funny serve. I watch to see if his paddle comes straight at the ball or if his paddle strikes the ball moving at a downward angle. This is the one moment of thought before the rally truly begins. Once I return his serve, my arms shoot outward without thought or care. We slap the ball onto the other side of the table time after time as we immerse ourselves in the meditative, not quite rhythmic sound of the bouncing ball. Sometimes I don't even see the ball, but am unsurprised when my paddle connects. While I play ping pong, I like to think of myself as a young Luke Skywalker, just discovering his innate connection with the Force. Standing in the Millennium Falcon, Skywalker protests as his mentor Obi-Wan blindfolds him in front of the floating training droid, prepped to fire lasers at the newly initiated Jedi. Obi-Wan expects Luke to use his lightsaber to deflect the lasers without use of his eyes. On his first attempt, Luke fails to make the deflection and is struck by pain and the implications his left brain makes about that pain. The implications being that he has failed and may not fit the category of Jedi as well as others expect him to. Luke finds success in his second try because he is able to let go, to forget forget about the need to fit a category. In the same way, I find success in ping pong while matters of score vacate my brain. But a rally, just like time spent underwater, cannot last forever. Eventually, the ball falls out of play, and the person serving at the time must recite the score, saying his score first as to not create any confusion. Judgment. My right brain wants me to forget the past, all previous judgments, and love and connect with the people around me. My left brain makes this impossible. In it is stored my impressions and judgments of every person I've met. As long as my left brain functions, this is inescapable. Anytime someone tries to say they don't judge people, I make it a point to call them a liar. I try to make them understand that their left brain processes and responds accordingly to the actions of others. This processing and responding in accordance with what you know, what you've learned in the past, is judgment. People tell me then that I'm being too broad, that our conversation was pointless if I was only trying to say that our brain, on a biological level, judges things. That yes, they make judgments, but are unaffected by them. Because we think it's wrong to judge others, we pretend we don't. We completely ignore the ways our judgments affect us and are unable to counteract them in order to achieve anything close to a right-brained existence. Instead, we unconsciously allow our left-brained categorizing to dictate our dispositions. This lack of consciousness allows us to accept that we just like some things or people, and we just don't like other things, as if everything happened by chance. Justness. I don't know that I have some kind of moral qualm with this type of justness. I could say that we need to understand the historical and cultural forces that molded our identities in order to be critical of them and, if necessary, affect change. I might think that we need to change the world, but I question whether or not this is my true motivation. My real problem with justness is more selfish. I want a right-brained existence, but I can't have it. I want to exist in a state that marvels in existence and embraces an obvious connection between all of us. My left brain categorizes and compares, creates difference by observing it, widening the spaces between us. The best I can do is tell you about the judgments I've made, expose the stories my story-weaving left brain has woven based on the detail you decide to give me. And I need you to level with me. If you think I'm being paranoid or oversensitive, I need you to at least try to understand your actions as I understand them. Understand that, perhaps, the bits of the story you've given me don't add up. Fill in the gaps for me and constantly expect that I do the same for you. Ultimately, I need to know that we, you and I, can expose the personal without fear of attack. Such fearless interaction is impossible under a doctrine of justness. If you've done something I've judged as poor, but it is something that you just like doing, and I ask you about it, I've assaulted your being, your stubborn justness, and we will never be close. My left brain forever reminding me that there are certain things I must withhold around you. If, however, you can tell me why you did what you did, present me with a convincing narrative utilizing the left side of your brain, I will search the edges of my character and more than likely imagine myself behaving similarly in a similar situation. Even if I can't, you've attempted to bridge the gap, attempted to further my understanding of you. The word just did not always exist as the exclusionary, dead-end non-explanation it exists as today. Its earliest use holds a religious context. To be just was to be righteous before the sight of God. This definition goes beyond the dead end that is stubborn justness. If people explain their actions by saying that they are just, they are appealing to a common understanding that places their actions in a context I can identify. If someone tells me that he is against gay marriage because the Bible condemns homosexuality, I may disagree, but the speaker at least has provided me with some kind of explanations for his actions. An explanation that is uncomplicated and not quite enough, but a start, an attempt to bridge the gap. The usage of the word that implies precision through exclusion most closely represents the type of justness I'm talking about. Someone can employ this usage to emphasize an aspect or characteristic of a thing. When you say, "Why are you afraid? It's just a dog," you are emphasizing the fact that the dog is not one of many other dangerous animals, that it is precisely a dog. This usage, unlike the usage I'm talking about, makes meaning. It communicates something that another, depending on his or her experience with dogs, can understand. You cannot say that you precisely something. No meaning is made when you say, "I just like shopping," or "I just can't go out tonight," or "sometimes I'm just crazy." These are dead ends. No attempted explanation or understanding. There is something very American about the use of the word just in this way, a certain sense of entitlement that allows us to believe that we owe no one an explanation for our actions, that we are free, and anyone who questions us can get the hell out. The doctrine of individualism, pushed on students like me attending school in the late 80s and throughout the 90s, exacerbated our senses of entitlement. We were taught to be proud of our quirks and to value the quirks of others. While I can see how such a doctrine might produce positive results, it instead freed us of all accountability. You don't like the way I can't walk in a straight line? The way I'm constantly bumping into you as I walk? Oh, sorry, that's just a quirk of mine. The Applejack cereal commercials of the 90s perfectly illustrate the dangers of adhering to this brand of individualism. In each commercial, a group of hip kids passes around a box of Apple Jacks. An adult walks up and asks something like, "Why are you kids always eating Apple Jacks? They don't even taste like apples." The background music stops, and the camera freezes on one of the kids who is momentarily baffled. After a pause, he answers, "We just do." Commercials like these encourage the gathering of unexplained quirks. They encourage the sense of entitlement that allows us to act without explanation. They make the refusal to explain into something that is edgy or trendy. The commercials also cast the person who wants to communicate, the person who wants to understand, who wants to connect, as the lame adult. The person who just doesn't get it and, for whatever reason, does not deserve to. Thanks.